Doug Ford made a campaign promise to cut costs, and now as Premier, he's taking aim at Toronto City Council. Ford said today he will introduce legislation to slash the number of city councillors in Toronto from 47 to 25. The announcement came on the final day to file your nomination papers to run in the fall's municipal elections. CTV's Tracy Tong has more.
It is the most dysfunctional political arena in the country, City Hall. The reason it's so dysfunctional, we have 44 people trying to make a decision that can't make a decision.
There are too many seats on Toronto City Council, according to the Premier, and about half of them need to go. Premier Doug Ford announcing he will introduce legislation to cut the number of Toronto councillors from 47 to 25.
We estimate that this one change will save Toronto taxpayers somewhere in the neighborhood of $25 million.
And I think Toronto taxpayers will be happy to trade a bunch of politicians at City Hall for millions of dollars that can be reinvested in the city's pressing priorities.
The Premier's plan is to streamline ward boundaries to match federal and provincial riding boundaries. And going a step further, his administration is cancelling upcoming regional chair elections in Peel, York, Niagara and Muskoka regions, halting the campaigns of former PC Party leader Patrick Brown in Peel and former Liberal Cabinet Minister Stephen Del Duca in York.
The last thing the families, businesses and municipal leaders in these regions need is another layer of politicians, another layer of dysfunction. So we're going to go back to the way it was before 2016.
It's pretty concerning as well that Mr. Ford decided to suddenly kneecap people who have been his previous political opponents.
Thank you.
NDP leader Andrea Horwath is accusing Ford of abusing his provincial power.
He has not consulted a single person when it comes to this particular move. He, cooked it up overnight in a back room, and the people of Toronto deserve so much better than that.
The Liberal caucus saying in a statement, "We are calling on the Ford government to hit pause on this last-minute chaotic scheme to rewrite the electoral map until Ontarians have been properly consulted. It's simply irresponsible to proceed with undemocratic, poorly considered changes to our democracy without any mandate from the people." Tracy Tong, CTV News.
Despite the criticism, there's at least one organization that's applauding the move. Let's bring in Christin Van Geyn, Ontario Director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. Hello, Christine.
Hi.
So why is the Taxpayers Federation endorsing this move? It wasn't even in the throne speech.
It wasn't in the throne speech, but Mr. Ford did run on a promise to make government in Ontario smaller, and it looks like he's starting with Ontario and Toronto politicians. I think the reason we're supporting a move like this is frankly, having more politicians means having more pet projects, having more pork barreling, and Toronto City Council is enormous in its current state, and it's planned to get even bigger. And for all the city councillors we have here in Toronto, things in the city haven't been getting better. So TTC is still a disaster. We still have infrastructure that's failing in this city. We have all kinds of backlogs in housing. And we think at the Taxpayers Federation that the $25 million estimate on savings of getting rid of these excess city councillors is money well saved.
So you quoted $25 million. Premier Ford is quoting $25 million in real savings, but I've heard the number is more like $3 million. Where's $25 million going to come from by just eliminating 22 councillors and some of their benefits?
So I actually think that the $25 million that's over 4 years, and I think that that's a lowball estimate. The savings are probably more in the range of $8 to $9 million a year. So it's actually potentially more savings, and those savings are assumed based on the office budget savings from getting rid of those additional council spots. There would be additional savings on top of that when you realize that there are savings from not having to pay pensions.
And some, Christine, like former Toronto City Councillor and Member of Parliament Adam Vaughan, he's calling this action vindictive and destructive. You've been in contact with the Ford government. Was this strictly a political move and not a personal one, you think?
I mean, Mr. Ford has a long-standing relationship with City Council that I would say is not necessarily a positive one. So I don't think that this was a vindictive move at all, but certainly Mr. Ford, Premier Ford, has an opinion about Toronto City Council, and it's an opinion that it's bloated and ineffective. I think it's an opinion that is shared by a lot of people in this city, and the plan to make the council even bigger for the upcoming election. They were planning on going from 44 wards to 47 wards. I mean, it's a position that not even everyone on City Council was in favor of. So I think the move to make the wards in Toronto mirror the federal and provincial boundaries will ensure people are well represented and that we're making sure taxpayers are getting their money's worth.
Well, Christine, thanks for your insights today.
Thank you for having me.